Hello everyone. I know it's been a while since my previous entry, but I decided now or never, so here we go. The more difficult part, breakups for Aspergers, and even if you have not dated, you might want to watch it anyway and see what you're being spared from doing. Once again, I am reading, so hopefully this won't take long. Anyway, like I said, breakup is more difficult than dating, and the dating language can have some subtle or maybe even verbal or even obvious hints. The breakup language is totally silent and hintless. Now, if someone likes you, they'll make it obvious, but if they don't like you anymore, they may not give you any hints at all. Now, one of the first indicators is cheating, maybe. Some people do date more than one people. I don't recommend that, but for anybody on or off the spectrum. And it is not okay if you are in an exclusive relationship. It is not okay for you to date someone besides your significant other. One example where it might be okay is if one of you cannot attend the event, but you have permission to go with someone else. This should be a fallback for a rare, if ever, situation. Now, to detect some signs of cheating, now here's a good sign when they start talking about somebody else more often. Or if they used to talk about someone occasionally, but now not anymore. Or a dramatic change in their schedule is also good cause for suspicion. A good example that they've been closer to someone else is they have a different smell to them, and you and I both are nasal sensitive, so we'll smell another scent, and they know we don't like strong scents, so that's a good chance something's wrong. The main reason people cheat is to see if they can get away with it, so they get that little adrenaline release somehow, but sometimes they just try to get a thrill of playing one against another, but eventually that cheating will be discovered and the breakup will only be even worse. And trust me, you do not need or want someone who cheats. Or maybe they're just tired of the significant other and maybe they won't necessarily cheat. But it's far too common for people to just get bored or tired with someone and they'll just wait a while to break up and they won't verbally tell you, nor will they make it clear. They might simply just stop answering your calls. That's happened to me, but I think it's another story. Um, One thing they do is try to manipulate your feelings so they make you mad and you call off the relationship so they can shift the blame. And you don't want someone who plays around with your sensitive emotions. Well, the only reason anyone would have to delay a breakup is if the couple lives together and one of them will need a new place. Cohabitation may be illegal in some places, but it's not usually enforced, and that's another story. But the main reason people delay a breakup is to keep you on a backup in case they get lonely or in case another relationship doesn't work out. And you deserve better than to be somebody's second chance. But bottom line, really, they just don't have the guts to tell you. Sorry, I don't believe any of that stuff about they just didn't want to hurt your feelings, because they usually just hurt you even more. Men and women both can attest to that. Long distance relationships don't usually work under any circumstances, no matter what kind of connections the other person has with your town. In order for a relationship to work, you have to see and touch the person, which long distance does not allow. If you spend more time missing the other person than being with them, you will start looking forward to your next phone call, not your next date. And it's really only a matter of time before one of you decides to date somebody else. A good lead to a breakup is one of them wants to have some experimental kind of part to see what life is like without you. Then they're probably going to decide they like it better that way. This might be a bad comparison, but just like a job that cuts your hours, they're just quietly asking you to resign or looking for a reason to fire you. I'm sorry to say that, but it happens. Your significant other just doesn't have the nerve to break up with you, and like before, they're just probably saving you as backup in case they don't find anybody else or don't want to be alone. And you might not like this idea, but if they are just trying to see what it's like without you, just end the relationship with yourself. trust me, there's no need to wait. Now, it might be difficult to accept the fact that someone who once appreciated you is no longer interested. They would once contact you or approach you unexpectedly, but they're avoiding you now. Whereas they would go out of their way to be with you, now they are trying not to be around you. It has happened to me, so it could have, and also from my own experience, it was a rebound relationship and the newness wore off. But unfortunately, if the relationship goes bad, there's not much you can really do. And if the relationship ended on a bad note, remember, anything you say or do can and will be used against you. Hopefully not in court or the dean of students' office, what have you. If they make it clear they want you gone and you pursue the other person, you may find yourself in that principal's office, student justice office, or with the police at your door. Thankfully, I have not had that, but I know some who have, and let's hope it doesn't happen to you. If you find yourself currently not able to get along with your significant other, it's best to talk to them about it. You can resolve any differences or end the relationship on a positive note and still be friends. If they are not understanding, then they don't deserve you. But really, if you don't like your significant other anymore, just talk to them about it. It's best to just end it and don't put yourself through any trouble. Think about it. If this were the person you met, would you consider dating them? All you know now, perhaps you're thinking of the memory you had of the person, not the person they have now. They once gave you great pleasure, but now they just cause you pain or frustration. Do you still want to be with them? Well, kind of like when starting a relationship, while you're in a foul relationship with someone who doesn't care, chances are someone's waiting for you to break up so they can give you a chance. And maybe there's someone else you'd rather be dating too, so don't keep that foul relationship for anything. Maybe there's nobody new. But a sure sign you do need to get rid of that person is if they're costing you your job or your grades in school. Thankfully, I haven't experienced it, but I've seen it happen to other people. So if that person is making you get low grades or making you late to work, then they need to go. Or if they're causing other family members to stop talking to you, that's also a good reason to let that person go. No, it hasn't happened to me, but I've seen it happen. Well, this may be contradicting myself, but after ending a relationship, it's best to be single for a little while to let your wounds heal. If it was a serious and long-term relationship, they recommend you to be single for at least a year, but only you can decide that. Some people jump right into one relationship after ending another, which is not usually healthy. Some people probably think there's no such thing as a bad relationship, even when they're always in one. Many experts agree, and I agree, I'm no expert, but maybe I am, agree that it's better to be single than in a bad relationship. And trust me, it is much better to actually be alone and listen to silence than to listen to yelling when you get home. And being in the silence will give your wounds time to heal. They say that it's not 50-50, but it's 100-100. Was it your fault the relationship ended? Different people will tell you different things. Some people will tell you smothered or neglected the person, while others will tell you they wish their significant other would spend more time with them or give them more space. I've heard it all. In order for the relationship to be successful, both people must put in 100% of their effort. If one person just wants to be on the receiving end, then it will not work out. Or sometimes people want to have a significant other just so they can say they have one. They don't seem to realize it's not working out. Funny, I see people ridiculed more often for being single than in a foul relationship, but I think we've already discussed which one's more troublesome. Now, in the social pressure cooker of teenage life, People tend to be more concerned on being popular than rather their self-satisfaction. People of all ages, teenagers and adults, think that any relationship is better than no relationship. One reason for this is, well, kind of implies that they can look good in public, but relationship counselors will tell you the exact opposite. They'll tell you it's better to be single than with the wrong person. You yourself have probably seen people who have no business being together, locked in an endless relationship, like my parents. But think about it. Would you rather have come home to, like I said, come home to silence, or come home to constant yelling? Think about it. Can you still be friends? It's not usually recommended for a couple who's no longer dating to be friends. If you were friends before, then you might be able to be friends again, but you still need some time apart. And if you can be friends again, life will probably cross your paths again. Yes, I've had that too, but from the time we stopped talking to the time we started again, there were years in between that. So just don't hold your breath on anything or anyone. Some people, and I still don't understand this, that once they're in a relationship or get married, they don't want regular friends. If you are still single and the person who dumped you doesn't mind being friends, they're probably just using you as fallback, but you certainly deserve better than that. So in short, if you are dating someone who you don't like anymore, it's best to just talk to that person and tell them it's not working out and end it. You will both be miserable if you stay in a foul relationship. There may or may not be anyone else for you. Sometimes there is, and you decide if it's worth pursuing or not. If you should jump into the next relationship, you might need to give yourself some breathing time. But personally, I've had a few. Okay, I just had one relationship where she would just talk about her ex constantly, and I'm still not sure if she really liked me or was putting up with me, or maybe was, oh no, dating her ex through me? Maybe, and looking back, I wonder why I didn't get rid of her for other reasons, because we weren't getting along toward the end, but neither one of us had had a decent relationship like that before, so when the newness wore off and we weren't getting along, we both kind of delayed on it for longer than we should have. And yes, while delaying that breakup, there was someone else whom I would have rather have been dating, which I eventually did, and I gave myself some breathing time between the breakup and the new relationship. Well, likewise, that new relationship had a delayed breakup, so like I've been saying, it's worse to be with the wrong person who doesn't like you anymore. Sometimes you are there, the feelings just flip over. You start to loathe someone you once loved, and that's a sure sign it needs to end. Oh, here's a good sign you need to end it. When you have to ask the person, who are you and what have you done with my significant other? That's a good sign you need to call it off. A friend of mine said that it's best to stay with someone for at least 1 year before trying anything serious, so you will see it all, and at one point, if you find yourself asking something like, what happened to this person, or if this is the person now when you met them, would you have considered dating them? Probably not. I had something like that in which I probably would not have even considered dating her had she been like that when I first met her. So it really is okay to be alone. No harm will come, but harm will probably come if you continue that foul relationship that is costing you your job, your grades, and your family. So be well all and live your life as best you can.